Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Civilization VI Leader Connections, where we're going to be talking about Basil II of Byzantium. I want to remind you, if you enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like on the video and hit that subscribe button. And also, if there's a civ that you want me to make a video on, make sure you leave a comment down below. So let's just jump into it. First, I'm going to be giving you a little bit of background on Basil II himself, and then we're going to jump into discussing how Basil II's history actually connects to his abilities in Civilization VI. Basil II Porphyrogenitos was born in approximately 958 Common Era as the eldest son to his father Romanos II, the Byzantine emperor at the time. In Byzantium culture, this means Basil was a Porphyrogenitos, meaning born into the purple. This simply indicates that he was born to a reigning emperor, but also means that he was going to be in line to become emperor of Byzantium when his father died. Unfortunately for Basil, his father's death came sooner than expected, when Basil was only 5 years old. It's suspected that his father died due to poison, possibly by his mother, but nonetheless, Basil and his brother Constantine were confirmed as co-emperors by the Byzantine Senate shortly after his father's death. Yes, they were both emperors at the same time. However, Basil was the senior leader, likely due to his older age. Upon his ascension to the throne, Basil actually focused on rebuilding Byzantium's military and administering the empire. The rebuilding of Byzantium's military was vital, as upon ascension to the throne, Basil encountered a rebellion from Bardas Skleros and Bardas Phokas, members of the wealthy military elite of Anatolia. These generals wanted to garner positions in Basil's court that would essentially kneecap Basil as a leader, and Basil refused to let this happen, so he formed an alliance with Prince Vladimir I of Kiev, in exchange for allowing Vladimir to marry Basil's sister Anna. It is this point where Basil's history begins to play out like a game of Crusaders Kings 3, and in spite of needing this alliance, Basil would actually only allow the marriage to Vladimir to happen if Vladimir converted to Christianity, which he eventually did. This allowed Basil to quash Skleros and Phokas' insurrection and focus on the empire's outside enemies. Now, it would take me an hour to go through all of Basil's conquest, as he was an incredibly accomplished tactician and horseman, but I'll try to summarize a bit. So initially, Basil made peace with the Fatimid Caliphate to his east, but this was really a short-lived peace due to a change in the Caliph, and Basil then set out to campaigns into modern-day Syria, where he was quite successful against the Caliphate, eventually giving them tenuous peace that went through the end of his reign. Upon the lessening of battles with the Fatimid Caliphate, Basil turned to recapturing previous Byzantine territory. He first turned his focus to a conquest of modern-day Bulgaria, eventually capturing all of Bulgaria by 1018 Common Era, and earning him the name the Bulgar Slayer. As soon as Bulgaria was captured, Basil turned his focus on Georgia. Well, no, not that Georgia. Well, kind of, but without the massive love for wall buildings, and with a different ruler. Things kind of get a bit complicated here as to the reasoning for this war, but we can simply say that Basil was at war with George I of Georgia, eventually besting him and taking numerous Georgian territories, as well as George's infant son as a hostage. It was only a few years after this victory, though, that Basil was preparing for a campaign to recover the island of Sicily into Byzantine's empire when he suddenly died, having been the longest reigning Byzantine emperor. He had expanded the Byzantine Empire to its largest size in 4 centuries and filled the treasury with gold. He ended up being succeeded by his brother Constantine, whose reign has been characterized as an unmitigated disaster, undoing much of the hard work of his brother and beginning the end of the Byzantine Empire. So now that we have an understanding of Basil's history, let's examine Basil as a leader in Civ VI and how his traits really align with this history. In Civilization VI, Basil is a civ heavily focused on religion and conquest, with the two tied intimately together. This aligns well with Basil's history, as he was considered an extremely pious leader belonging to the Eastern Christian Orthodoxy religion, and he built numerous monasteries and churches during his reign. As we have already seen, he was also an incredibly adept tactician, conquering numerous territories during his reign, and this leads us directly to his leader bonus, Porphyrogenitos, meaning born in the purple, as I mentioned before. This bonus allows heavy and light cavalry units to deal full damage when attacking cities following the same religion as Basil. It also enables the building of the Tagma unit, which we will discuss more in a moment. The name for his leader bonus does not really correlate significantly with the actual trait, but it definitely sounds cool. Now, the focus on cavalry actually does make a lot of sense for Basil, as he was well known as being an incredibly adept horseman, and he actually incorporated a lot of horsemen into his armies during his conquests. And this leader bonus really allows Basil to absolutely destroy any city he's converted to his religion, making a domination victory a strong possibility with Basil. Now, this leads logically into Byzantine's Civ ability called Taxis, which gives +3 combat and religious strength to all units for each holy city converted to Byzantium's religion, as well as spreading Byzantium's religion when an enemy unit is defeated, and also they gain +1 great profit point from holy cities. These traits do not seem to correlate that well to actual history, as I can't find much information on Basil conquering sacred holy cities from other civilizations in history. It instead probably is just a specific decision by Firaxis to lean into Basil and Byzantium's strong faith. It is also certain that this +1 great profit point is just a balance measure, as it makes it easier for Basil to get an early religion at harder difficulties, as pretty much all of his strengths are going to require that he has a religion. Next, we move on to Byzantine's unique units and its unique district. The first unit that we will discuss is the Dromon, which is a replacement for the quadrireme, and has +10 range strength against land and naval units, as well as a range of 2 rather than just 1. In history, the Dromon was actually invented well before Basil II, but was an incredibly interesting ship. Instead of the old-style trireme with a ram at its prow, the Dromon had a kalkar, or a beak, at its prow. This essentially acted as a bridge and allowed the soldiers to easily board enemy vessels. Now, possibly the coolest feature of the Dromon is its Greek fire. The exact composition of this Greek fire seems to be lost to history, but it's thought to be a mixture of oil and quicklime. And these Dromons were actually able to shoot this Greek fire from the bow of their ships at other ships, setting them ablaze. Now, the real power of this concoction is that it could also burn on top of the water, likely due to the inclusion of oil as part of the mixture. This feature of the Dromon actually helped repel a long-running Arab siege of Constantinople, as well as an invasion by Russian Vikings. As mentioned in the Civilopedia, one contemporary account stated that when the Rus sailors saw the flame cannons on the Dromons, they, quote, threw themselves from their ships and into the sea, choosing to be drowned by the waves rather than cremated by the fire. Can't say that I blame them. Now, this brings us to Byzantium's unique land unit, the Tagma. The Tagma is a replacement to the Knight in Civ, which ignores enemy zone of control and grants nearby land units +4 combat strength or +4 religious strength. The Tagma did not have one form in history, but instead was really a group of elite soldiers who were initially descendant from the Western Roman Imperial Guard. They were continually updated throughout Byzantium's history, with later Byzantine emperors incorporating heavy cavalry into the force. Particularly under Basil II, the Tagma were expanded to include provincial units and foreigners, as well as the Varangian Guard, which were Viking mercenaries under the employ of Basil. The accompaniment of the Varangian Guard was facilitated by the alliance formed with Vladimir I of Kiev and gave substantial strength to the Byzantine military. Both in real life and in Civ VI, these Tagma are incredibly powerful under Basil II's control. Finally, we turn to Byzantium's unique district, the Hippodrome. The Hippodrome replaces the entertainment complex, costs half the construction to build, and provides +3 amenities, rather than +1 amenity, to the parent city, as well as granting a free heavy cavalry unit when the Hippodrome is built or when any building is built inside of the Hippodrome. Basically, the Hippodrome is the Tagma printer, and Hippodrome go brrr. In history, the Hippodrome can be directly linked to the Western Roman Empire, as the Hippodrome was a place for chariot races, and the Romans loved their chariot races. The rivalries in these chariot races actually became so intense that in 532, rival fans burned down half of Constantinople and nearly killed the emperor at the time over a race. So I guess not much has changed since then. So that pretty much summarizes the history of Basil II and the Byzantine Empire, as well as how they connect to Basil II's traits in Civilization VI. If you're interested in learning more, I've left my sources down in the description. And just a reminder, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like on the video and hit that subscribe button. As always, let me know down in the comments what civilization you want me to do next.